And so our next keynote session, which is on balancing innovation, security, and compliance in the evolving BFSI landscape. For this session, I call upon stage Mr. Sunil Mehta, Chief Executive, Indian Banks Association, to join us on stage. Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Mehta? Over to you, sir.
Very good evening to all of you. And I know we are running late, so I'll be very brief in communicating what I have to. And the topic chosen is really very interesting in today's concept. Balancing innovation, security, and compliance in the evolving BFSI landscape. This is just like Punjabi mein kahavat hai daddu tolna, mendko ko tolna. So if you try to balance it, one will jump out, and then again it's very difficult to balance out. Because there are very conflicting aspirations of the three segments: the business segment, the innovation segment, the compliance segment, and the security. Sometimes innovation will feel that we should get the entire resources, we should get the entire focus, and we should not be hindered by the security implications, we should not be hindered by the compliance things because we are innovating. The business will say, my job is doing business. If we don't have business, what will we do for compliance? So the thought processes of these segments need a greater alignment, and I'll totally endorse the views of my previous speaker. Garma has already spoken that compliance is not a hindrance, not a burden. We have seen it, the history tells it. If you do not comply, if you do not take care of your security, you may not be able to do business at all. And even if you develop a business, this can go down like a stack of cards. So it's very important for every organization to balance these things. And there is no rocket science into it. There are certain strategies which I can share with you as per my thought processes. One of the way we can go about is risk-based approach. We can implement a risk-based approach to prioritize resources and the efforts, identify and assess the risk associated with the new innovation, security vulnerabilities, and compliance requirements, and allocate resources based on the level of risk exposure. So risk-based approach means evaluating the risk while taking an innovation, evaluating the risk while doing a business, and we can see what is the cost of taking that risk. Can we afford that? And then we have to take a calculated risk to go forward and create a balanced culture. Another important strategy is collaborative culture. As I said you in the beginning, there are different aspirations of the different segment. So every organization which has to balance, they have to create a culture of collaboration between IT, security, compliance, and the business teams. We have to encourage open communications and collaborations to ensure that innovative initiatives meet necessary security standards and compliance requirements from the outset. Then there is a continuous compliance monitoring. Compliance is not a one-day tick box approach. It has to be a continuous process. And we have to implement the continuous monitoring processes to ensure that ongoing compliances with the regulatory requirements. Leveraging technology solutions such as automated compliance management systems to streamline the compliance activities can reduce the burden on the resources. So the continuous monitoring of compliance culture has to be embedded in the organization for its long-term survival. And the security by design. So when we integrate security into the design and development processes of the new product and services from the outset, we implement security best practices such as encryption, access control, secure coding techniques to mitigate security risk. So security has to be by design. Then we have to invest in technology. We have to keep ourselves upgraded. So we have to invest in advanced technology solutions such as artificial intelligence. I think everybody is talking about it. Machine learning, blockchain to enhance security measures and streamline compliance processes. These technologies can help identify and mitigate security threats more effectively while also automating compliance activities. So technology investment and adopting the new technologies, especially the secured one, will be the necessity for the organizations to meet out the requirement. Employees training and awareness. So provide regular training, because sometimes what happens, top management do have the appreciation of this, but the employees down the line are not aware of the compliance requirements. They are not aware about the security requirements. They think their job is just to get the business, or their job is just to innovate. So if we create a proper training infrastructure where the role of all this security, compliance is conveyed properly to the business units, to the innovative units, then definitely a training and awareness can be created among the employees, which will automatically improve the balancing between the segments. Then of course there is a third party risk involved. It's not only that we are doing business alone. Most of the time we are collaborating with the third parties. They are vendors who are providing different risk and services. So there is an important thing that risk is also be managed, because any misdeed by the third party can also lead to the reputation loss of the organization. So we have to evaluate and monitor third party vendors and partners to ensure that they adhere to the security and compliance standards. Implement robust vendor management processes to assess the security posture of third party vendors and mitigate the potential risk. That is equally important. And then regulatory intelligence. Regulatory intelligence, it is basically, we have to understand what the regulator is thinking about. We have to keep communicating with them. As the example was quoted for Singapore, that they have got a system. That way, if there is an interactive forum between the entities, regulated entities and the regulator, and they know what the regulator is thinking of, what is their future plan, then the employees, then that organization keep abreast of those changes and keep designing them into their processes. So regulatory intelligence is very important. We have to stay processes, the way it is existing, and some of the, and I think the suggestion that has been given that it can be done not only to the new fintechs, it can be to the established player, because innovation is not restricted to only new generation, even the established players may innovate. So I think that is the right approach. And if we don't have a sandbox approach, at least a regular communication can definitely serve that purpose of getting a feedback that an established player, while innovating, can communicate with the regulator. And if there is any negative feedback, they can exchange those thoughts and can embed it into their processes. With the passage of DPDP Act, I think data protection and privacy is equally important. And the way it has been thought about is consent management is a very important aspect. Mr. Banerjee, while talking about Johor, has said that consent management is very crucial in keeping the customers at the center of the activities. Their willingness to participate in data sharing and their willingness to understand the risk involved into the processes is very important. So data protection and privacy is very important, and we must implement robust data protection and privacy measures to safeguard the sensitive customer information and ensure compliance of the data protection regulations such as GDPR, CCPA by the implementation, encryptions, anonymization, and the access control. And improvement is a continuous journey. It's not that once you have created a balance, this will last forever. The balances will keep on shifting. So there is a need for continuous improvement into the balancing. Foster a culture of continuous improvement by regularly reviewing and refining security and compliance practices, conduct regular audits and assessments, and to identify areas for improvement and implement corrective actions as necessary. These are some of the important changes, and these are one of the important strategies which every organization, in my opinion, should follow to balance out the culture in the changing BFI landscape, because now regulator is no more regulating from a distance. Those who are in the bank, they very well understand. Regulator representatives are sitting in your houses, looking to your day-to-day transactions. So then, if we do not create that balance, it will be difficult, even for the large established players, to maintain their reputation as the customer-centric approach. And as very rightly said by Mr. Banerjee in his presentation, that the customer is at the center of all this. So if we keep the customer interest in mind and balance out these activities, I think it will be the best practices for the BFSI sector to continue and grow in times to come. I hope that today's learning will give us a lot of thought, a food for thought for implementation in our respective organization. I really thank Dun & Bradstreet for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you for your patient hearing, even at the late hours. Thanks all.